Hello, everyone. Welcome to another session at Courtship Academy. Today, my guest is Gaza Mark Alta. I got to know him through Facebook, even though we come from the same area, but that's how we got closer. And he even came across my DM asking me about names to suggest for his child that he was expecting, and that brought us closer together anyway. And he's the CEO of G Code Global Services. And I guess he will tell us a bit more about himself when he starts speaking. But today he's here to talk about his topic is divorce is on the rise because most singles are not prepared for marriage. So that is the reason why divorce is on the rise. So he's going to touch on those things and what you need to do so that to reduce the rate of divorce. So Gaza, can you tell us a bit more about yourself? Maybe I omitted something that you would like them to know about you.
Well, my name is Sheku Gaza Mark Alta, and it's Gaza Mark Alta for short. And just like you rightly said, I'm the CEO of G Code Global Services. And I love to call myself a social, a cultural promoter. I love projecting and promoting, most especially the baggy culture. So I always count it as a rare privilege to be able to interface with you, mommy, especially on all that you have chosen to do, especially impacting on our own generation. Because to be very honest, this generation lacks that particular nexus that should bridge the old and the young together. And that is why you see that a lot of anomalies are on the rise today. But having said that, let me just jump straight to the topic that is at hand. Well, there are a lot of things that are actually, will I say, wrong with my generation. Not like I'm always proud to say it, but sometimes they say truth has no alibi. And my English teacher used to say that the greatest calamity that can befall a man is when he tells himself a lie. And if you rightly rephrase it, it says, you lie loudest when you lie to yourself. And you see, because of the advent of technology and the Internet of Things and social media, most of the things that you see being projected out there are mostly lies. And based on that fact, you see that a lot of relationships actually suffer. Now, when you talk about divorce and marriage, I have been following uh, all the relationship advice you've been giving my generation. You see, the gospel truth is most times the foundation upon which the building of a marriage is set upon is always faulty. And once it is faulty, you're bound to have a shaky or if not a bad marriage entirely. And I personally feel that out of all the relationships that we should have in the world, marriage is one of the best of them. Because first of all, when a child is born, he has a relationship with his siblings and his parents. And then when he goes to school, he has friendship with his friends. But now, the most important of them all is the union of two human beings coming from two different backgrounds to come and elope and stay together. I think it's one of the most important decisions that any man would ever take or make. Having said that, I always like to ask, you see, in this part of the world, especially Africa and Nigeria, depending on your culture, a man is looked at respectfully only when he is married. Unfortunately, I will give an example. There was a time that was around 2010. We were pursuing a contract in AMAC. So we went into an office. There were actually three of us. I was supposed to do the presentation for the contract, but there was just one chair in the office and there were three of us. So the question the man asked was, who is married amongst you? Then our friend, just one of them who had totally nothing to do with the contract, just that he was a financier, and he said he should have a seat. That yes, he's married. He should he understands life and all, because you know, if you're married, there are a lot of responsibilities and all those things. You know. Now, but when you look at our society today, it's so sad how you see broken homes and all those other things. When you juxtapose it with the older generation and our generation, you are tempted to ask, what is it that they did that we are not doing? You know, I'll give an example. If you want to study to become a medical practitioner or a doctor, you have to go to a medical school. If you want to be a lawyer, you have to go to law school. If you want to be a teacher, you go to the teacher's college. And what do they do there? They teach you the rudiments of the course itself. You know, and if it is about spirituality, your pastor should have been to a theological school so that he understands the mind and spirituality. So why is it that if you want to indulge in other endeavors, you go for certification? And then the most important institution of them all, which is marriage, people just jump into it. It doesn't make sense to me personally, you know. It doesn't make sense. That is why, in my own opinion, I feel it is most important for you to have a firm grasp of what you are venturing into. Because just like the other professions, if I want to choose to become a doctor today, all I have to do is go to the medical school, spend a number of years, and I'm out. If I'm not comfortable with being a doctor, I can opt for another course, which is law or anything. But you see, unfortunately, in marriage, once you enter that institution, according to the scriptures, it is for better for worse. If not for the negative presentations that we get today, that for just for very, very minor things, you hear that people are filing for divorce. It's really unfortunate. When you go on social media and read some stories out there, you are just overwhelmed with how and what happened to this generation. So I personally feel that it is because most of them do not have a firm grasp of what they are entering and what marriage entails. You see, I've heard of a marriage that they consummated the marriage in the church, went for the reception, and then they separated at the reception ground. They didn't even get home, you know? So then you ask, what were they talking about when they were courting? Exactly. What were they doing? You know? So this, I personally, I was at the verge of making that particular mistake myself. When I was much younger, I wanted to engage a girl. First of all, we're from two different cultural backgrounds. Yes, it's not a problem. But I didn't know that there were a lot of things that we didn't share together because I had a mindset of what I thought I wanted. I wanted to marry a lawyer. I wanted to marry a Fulani girl. I wanted to marry a girl with a pointed nose. I wanted to marry a slim girl. You know, but these are just frivolities.
Yeah.
The real essence of the marriage is till you enter. And if not because I left it and I had to study and be sure about what the real issues were, that was when I understood. Like the first time or the second time that we conversed with my own wife, I asked her point blank, what is your genotype? What is your blood group? You know, these questions are supposed to be the questions that you ask on a first or the second date, in my own opinion. So that, unlike one of my friends who just buried his fourth child, he buried his fourth child because all of them were carriers. You see, he was AS and she was AS, but they thought in the name of love. You see, love is very important in marriage, yes, but common sense is more important too in marriage. So, I would like, with your permission, to give some of the questions that I asked myself and my spouse before we agreed to marry ourselves.
Yes.
One, we talked about our finances. And you see, some people, just like I started this conversation by saying, we lie loudest when we lie to ourselves. Exactly. This is someone that you intend to settle down with for the rest of your life. The fake life, drop it on the ground, drop it. You should be real and say, these are my finances. Can you key into my own finances? This is my action plan for life. This is my strategic plan for life. Are we on the same page? You see, it's very important that you have all these conversations. How many children do you intend to have? What is your threshold of withstanding pressure? You know, because these are the realities of marriage. And am I still on?
Yes, you are. We can hear you.
Thank you very much. But you see, just like I said, most of my generation, unfortunately, when they start courting, they think it's just all about sex. They start having sex. They start having sex and they start having sex. And that is all. The relationship has no substance.
Exactly.
I keep telling people, when you get married, you're going to have a lot of sex.
Exactly.
That if care is not taken, you might be the one who might even run away from it. So I always advise people to try as much as possible not to indulge in sex yet. But instead, you should have the intercourse of the mind. That's what I always say. By intercourse of the mind, you should know the person that you're marrying. The person is supposed to complement you. By complement, now I say, for example, if my heart is situated in by the left side of my chest, if that is where my heart is, then automatically the rib cage around here is empty, and that is where I intend to put her to complement the other part of my heart. So it makes it complete. So it's like bringing in a circle, when you cut it into 180, 180 makes it 360, right? Now, when she brings 180 and you bring 180, you become a circle. You become a circle, and then you're one. So that is why it is important that you talk about the real issues that you're going to deal with when you get married. One, religion. What is your temperament when it comes to religion? This thing is very important. Are you spiritual or are you philosophical? Are you logical? Then the finances. Tell yourselves the truth. If you make 40,000 naira, for example, in a month, tell her you make 40,000 naira. But these are your plans. Are you, so that you don't, you see, what happens now in our generation is why you see all these divorces and the rest is because when you lie, and then whether you like it or not, you're going to be in one house. And once you are in the same house, there is no amount of covering up that you can ever do that your other significant half will not know who you are. So it is very important for you to be plain. Secondly, we are not 100% perfect. There is Mahatma Gandhi once said that, show me a perfect man and I'll ask him to walk on water. We are not perfect. But I always say that the first thing that you should do in a relationship is to show your imperfection to your significant other, so that let it be her own choice.
Exactly.
You know, let her say, yes, I can live with this negative part of you. You understand? Now,
Yeah.
they don't have all these conversations. All they do is they want to just snap beautiful pictures and put them on social media so that they will say, yes, they are in a perfect relationship too. But in courtship, before you get married, these are some of the important questions that you ask. Then your family, your nuclear family, and your extended family. Because I always advise, since we got married with my wife, there is not a single soul that has come here to settle us. I say we have to discuss everything within ourselves, no third parties. Because if I go to bed and I have not told you sorry, then it means there is going to be a ripple effect of that sorry that I have not said. But that is what they don't understand. It's very important to have all these conversations. And there is one thing that people seldom talk about, and I would like to talk about it with your permission.
Yes.
You see, friends will either make or mar your relationship and your marriage.
Yeah.
Why do I say so? In our society today, and especially my generation, I'm limiting my own submission to my generation. Most of the friends that you have might not really be happy with what you have. So, but they might pose as friends and then rob you of that very good thing that you have. I have seen situations where, because a lady has too many friends, girlfriends, they end up meddling in the affairs of that particular house. I've seen girls that have sex with the husbands of their friends. So whether you like it or not, show me your friends and I'll definitely tell you who you are. So I advise that when you are getting ready to settle down, there are friends that you have to get rid of. And it is very important to define relationships. Any relationship that is not adding to you positively, let it go. I don't see a situation where you are married as a man and then you have a girlfriend, you have a girlfriend or what do they say, bestie. There's a name they call it now. bestie and it happens to be a lady, or the lady says bestie and it happens to be a man. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. So in my own opinion, so that you don't, because insecurities are real, they're bound to come up in as much as you trust your other spouse, but you need to give the person you trust, yes, your significant other, but you still need to give that person a benefit of doubt. But while you give the person a benefit of doubt, that person should not even put the doubt in the first place, you know? So I've talked about finances. I've talked about the emotional temperament, that it's important to know the emotional threshold of your significant other. What do I mean by that? Everybody has his own way, yes. I personally, I would say I used to test my spouse in one way or the other when we were dating, just to know, you know, like, well, I'll not give that example. It's not for this. So, and to the men, this is the 21st century. Gone are the days when our parents used to say, it's not a man's place to be in the kitchen. It's not a man's place to be seen doing some jobs and all. No. Since you're complementing each other, it is very, very important for you to even switch roles sometimes. You say, okay, throughout this week, I'm going to be doing all the cooking. Now I'm talking about those that are married, but you can even try it even when you're dating. I want to cook for you today. I want to do this. I want to do that. You know, it strengthens the bond of the relationship. So I've talked about finances. I've talked about emotions. I've talked about spirituality. But you can refresh my memory, Mike, if I'm leaving something out.
Well, you've talked about friends too.
I talked about friends, yes.
Yes, you
Yes,
talked
I talked
about
about
friends,
friends.
and then the nuclear and the extended family. You
Yes,
also mentioned.
yes, I wanted to really lay emphasis on the nuclear and extended family. You see, it is very important for the couple to, as much as possible, have an enclave of themselves in their relationship. The third parties that I was talking about could be family. It could be your mother, it could be your father, it could be your siblings and all. It is very important that some information that belongs to just the two of you should remain with the two of you. It's not everything that you need to share with your family. Because you're forming a new family and there is going to be a generation that comes out of you. So it is very important for you to always keep even the positive and negative things that happens within yourselves. Because you see, there is one thing about the extended family. They might think that they are trying to help out, but they end up compounding the situation all in the name of love. That they think they love you and they think this is how you should go about it. So do what works for you. According to psychologists, the human mind is easily predictable. So you can always, from judging and knowing your spouse, know what they want and what they do not want, but you talk about all these things. For example, I used to ask my wife, what is the threshold for you in our relationship? What will be the thing that will make you say enough is enough? And then when she tells me all these things, I know that these are the boundaries and I'll never cross it. And then I too, if she will ask me or playfully, I always say, well, my own threshold is infidelity. it's a boundary for me, and I cannot come back once. So once you get to know the threshold, you know how to treat your spouse. And you see, most lovers these days act as if it's a competition that they are in. Love is not supposed to be a competition. If you are in love, then it's for the both of you. But you see, my generation, most especially, you see them competing in the name of being in a relationship. I'll give you an example. Like, you wake up in the morning, oh, this person has not called me. Okay, let me wait and see who is going to call today. Or then I say, oh, I was the last person that called. Let me see if the person will call. No, there is no competition. It's supposed to flow smoothly.
Exactly.
You understand? Yes. And that is love.
Mm-hmm.
Love is built upon. You build love, but with experiences. And these experiences, be it good or bad, is what solidifies love. You see, my generation, once there is a little hiccup, that is all. You see that the girl has left. You see that relationships don't last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month.
I think it's really about mindsets, like what the mindsets that your generation have about marriage and what they are looking for. So when you come into a relationship with that mindset and you don't see it, then it's like, I'm gone. Like that's not my idea, which is what, as you are saying, it's what you need to discuss. There are the things that need to be tabled, and you know the values each person has, the principles they hold on to, their expectations, their mindset generally. Because I know that that's one of the things I discussed with my husband during courtship, that I asked, like, what is your view of marriage? What's your idea about marriage? Then we all talk about it, then we know what we're getting into. Like, if this is your own idea, it doesn't agree with my own idea of marriage, why would I want to marry you? Like,
yes. And you see, that's just what I was saying, that my generation doesn't discuss all these things.
Yes.
And that is why I am recommending your academy for them, the Courtship Academy. Because if I study to become a lawyer, and I study to become a doctor, or I study to become a teacher, why can't I study to enter this institution that I don't hope to get out from till I'm dead? You know, because it's not rocket science. All these beautiful homes that you see that have stayed for 60 years, 70 years, 80 years, it is just, there is a certain principle that they follow. There are certain laid down principles that they follow. It is not just magic. You will not just jump into it and think it's going to be rosy. No, there are certain things that you have to do to make your marriage beautiful and workable. And that is why I have been recommending people to the Courtship Academy, so that they can learn all these things. You see, and surprisingly, in courtship, I'm sure in the Courtship Academy, just like other subjects, it's just like crawling before you walk.
Yeah.
You walk before you talk. There is a process to all these things. Like Friedrich Nietzsche will say, one has to crawl before he walks. One has to walk before he flies. One does not fly into flying. There are certain laid down principles that you have to follow. For example, if I want to study medicine, I say, okay, I want to be a surgeon. I don't just go my first day in class, they are already taking me to the cadaver and then I am operating. No, there are certain phases that you have to follow. Maybe they say, no, in fact, you have to study in your 100 level, you even have to study philosophy and logic. You have to study other things, even maths. So that is what the academy is about. The academy is studying the different phases choices so that when you mature in it, you have a firm grasp of what you are getting yourself into.
Yep,
I'll
as
give
we
you
say, you lay the foundation, you lay a solid foundation for your marriage.
very, very solid foundation. And you see, this generation, all their foundations are shifty, and that is why they don't last and they crash. I almost made the same mistake. Okay, I'll give you an example again. Since 2011, I have been given water free of charge. You know the situation in Nigeria. The government doesn't provide water. We provide water for ourselves.
Yes.
So I dug a borehole in my own house. So for all the residents within the house, I have given them pipes and I pump water for them every day, free of charge. All the houses in my own area. And then for those people that don't have tanks in their own houses, I open it up for them outside and they come to fetch every day. That had been the tradition all through my stay. But you see, the other girl whom I said was a lawyer, because I just wanted to marry a lawyer and all, each time she comes, she tells the gate man to close, to off the water and chase those people away, that they are disturbing her peace.
Oh, wow.
You see? Aha. So now you see, we're two different people.
You don't align.
Aha. So these are some of the things, and some of these things show, but we don't want to see them when we're cutting because we think we have this vague idea of love.
Exactly,
you know,
which is what I call the red flag.
Flashing. The red flags, thank you, Ma, for the word. The red flag.
We blow past them like, oh no, it doesn't matter.
Yes, that you're in love, you're in love. And then when you go to a restaurant and you order, they talk to the what do they call them? The people that serve it. The waitresses, yes. They talk to them rudely, but they are nice to you. Any person who is nice to a waiter, who is rude to a waiter, but nice to you, is not a nice person.
Yeah,
you understand?
Exactly.
So
those are red flags.
These are some of the red flags. So it's very important for you to pinpoint all these red flags and see if they are in line with what you do. For example, if I love reading, then my wife should at least compliment me too. So that when we're talking and we're talking about intellectual things and philosophical things and all, you connect. I saw something the other time and I was taken aback on social media. It was about a young man who asked his girlfriend of 5 years. He asked her a question, I suppose, of why she thinks they should marry. And then she told him that because they are in love. He said, yes. But apart from that, what are the things that I love doing? She said, well, I know that you like it when I rub your head. You like it when I kiss you and touch you. He said, no. I need you to tell me that touch my intellect. So he had to be plain to her. He said they don't connect on any level, that he has financial projections that he does mathematically. He talks about Galileo, Plato, and all. And each time he talks about Galileo to her, she doesn't even know who they are. She doesn't even know if they are Nigerians or even not, So they don't connect at all. But you see, for the fact that they had been having sex, and then she felt that's all a man wants.
Yeah.
Once satisfying him sexually, that is all. So we will sort the rest out and all. But whether you like it or not, you're going to have children. And when you do, what are you going to imbibe in them? So that is why don't be like me in my first choice of a woman. when I just wanted to marry a lawyer that had a pointed nose.
Yes.
You know, but I had to tell myself, what will happen? Okay, I give a scenario. The person you're dating, God forbid, let's say when you get married, you have an accident and you are incapacitated, and the doctors say you're going to be incapacitated for the rest of your life. Is that person going to stay with you, or that person thinks you're a liability?
Exactly.
So you can overtly or subtly ask some of these questions. And when you do, just like I said, that the human mind cannot hide some things, like in psychology. I used to use a little psychology on my wife then. I'm sure she can listen, she can hear now. So I used to use a little psychology. You know, in psychology, they say when you have when you ask someone a question and the person looks to the left, the person is lying. When he looks up, he's thinking of what to say. When he looks to the right, he's telling the truth, you know. And when the pupils are dilated, then just know that he doesn't have an idea of what you are even talking about, you know. So I will pose questions to her and then just see. So whether you like it or not, it is very important for you to know that you connect on all these levels. If
and
you're a go-getter,
that is important what you just said, because I know that that's one thing I talked on in the private group, the Courtship Academy Facebook group. I was telling them that instead of spending all your time during courtship always texting each other, that is not a good way of communication. You need more to be spending time physically, even if it's video or something, but you need to see the person and talk physically with the person, not just texting. You shouldn't spend like 40% of your time you're always texting each other. No, because of just what you have said. You can tell when somebody is telling a lie, trying to dodge a question or something, then you see it on the person's face when they are talking, but you can't see it in text. It's lost.
And these are some of the red flags that these are some of the places that you can pinpoint and find these red flags.
Exactly.
Because the gospel truth is, all of us will come out on social media and show you the best of our marriages. Yes. But not knowing that most times, 9 times out of 10 sometimes, they are filled with thorns sometimes. Thorns that you have to remove by yourself. If you're broke, and you see this generation, once they enter and then he used to bring money and all of a sudden it's no longer flowing. That is it. Oh, it is an avenue for, you know. So you ask very important questions. What happens when our plans don't all our plans don't go according to what happens? Are you going to be there, or you will start? They are very, very, I'll give you an example. In 2016, I was in the office. A woman walked into the office and she said she wanted to see me. And then she was acting funny. So I told her that, please, 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 I know you're a married woman, respect yourself. And then she told me that she was there with the consent of her husband, that the husband was well aware. As long as they will get something to feed. Now, it takes a man who is cold at heart to be able to even do that. So these are some of the conversations that you'll have before you get married.
Exactly, because knowing the values, what are your values, each other, what are your values in life? If you don't, these are when things come up like this, because you don't know, you just marry somebody without knowing what their values and principles are, ideologies in life.
That is the gospel truth. And then you see them compromising, you know? So it's very important that you look at the character of your spouse, you know? unlike the great men in the medieval ages, that the great men used to chase after the stronger women, like Cleopatra, the Caesar chased her all the way to Egypt because they already knew that these women were groomed in a certain way, you know. And then most strong men wanted this kind of women by their sides so that they will be able to conquer the world. I think even some generals in the Nigerian army still do that. Like IBB did that with his wife, Miriam. But what if you're not lucky enough to know how a woman was groomed? So I always say it. Sometimes it's very important too, though it's 9 times out of 10, it doesn't work, but it's important to look at the family too, to see the background that the person is coming from, because somebody cannot give you what he doesn't have. You know, if the mother is nice, automatically the child will be nice. If the mother is hardworking, if the mother is industrious, automatically she will be industrious. I keep saying, you complement each other. It's very, very important. And by complementing each other, you should be able to connect at a certain level, that you should share the same principles, you should share the same values, you know, be it financial, be it philosophical, be it educational and all. Where whatever point it is that you meet someone, as long as you see that they have that will to change and they're ready to work on themselves, then it is important that whatever level it is you meet yourselves, you build yourselves to whatever point it is you want to build yourselves, you know. But so it's important that you tell yourselves the truth. When I met my wife, I told her exactly my financial status. And I always bless God that I met her when I was flat broke. I met her when I was flat broke. Our first date, when we went for a date, my car, it was a jalopy, disgraced me that day. It refused to start, you know. And then here was I. I'm here to I'm here on a date, and then my car, out of all the days, refused to start on that day. And then she offered to push the car to start. You see? So what else would one, you know? So there, in as much as there are red flags, permit me to say there are white flags too.
Of course.
And those,
There are green flags that give you the go ahead.
okay, green flags. Very well. And there are green flags too, because you know there are a lot of people you set a lot of standard for yourself. No, just look at the basics. Like for example, the basics of a man is food, shelter, clothes, and housing. Then every other thing, maybe you say they are frivolities. The same thing too in finding a spouse, be it a man or a woman. And one, it is the content of their own character. That's one. You know, two, it is how the values that they have, how they view the world. It's very, very important. And then whether you like it or not, spirituality is very important, because for a man, you are supposed to be in the life of your own children, but the woman will spend more time with them, whether you like it or not, because she is the caregiver. She nourishes them with food and all, so she spends more time. So she will put in them what she knows. So it is important that you people connect on a certain level. I always tell my wife that I'm very, very confident, God forbid, even if I drop dead today, she's still going to raise my children the same way that I would have raised them. You know? So you see, we connect. We can look at ourselves without talking, and we already know maybe there are visitors in the house. We just look at ourselves and we have passed the message to ourselves. You know, that is, there has to be that connection there. You know, and while looking for a spouse too, look for somebody that is industrious. It's very, very important, especially in these times, these economic times. She has to be industrious, or he has to be industrious too. And for the women, I always say it. You see, the mistake the most times make is they just want what they call ready-made. No, God has given a woman the ability to know a man that is going to go far in life. That
Exactly.
a woman knows in 2 minutes when meeting a man to know. She knows it's a God-given talent. I don't know, but once she converses with him for just 2 minutes, she knows the direction that his life is headed towards.
Yes.
So why don't you build? You see, men tend to even respect women that build with them than
Exactly.
women that just come in without anything. So they feel, well, you're easily replaceable. So,
Exactly. Because my
so
husband always talks about that too and say, I beg you, he knows how far I have come with him, how from the beginning of our courtship, just like you, he will come visiting me during my NYSC with his old rickety Volkswagen. And even sometimes it will not start when he wants to leave, Seth, and I will join with the students and we will push the car. But at least I knew his future because I saw that he was an ambitious person. He was a lawyer. He was practicing. So he had all the ingredients to make his life successful. And I felt that by the time we put our hands together, we will make something out of our marriage. So that wasn't what I was focused on also. But even he too appreciates it. I say, oh, he knows how far we've come. He knows the help and contributions I have made into becoming what we are today. So it is something that young girls should actually, remove their eye from, say, oh, I don't want to follow this man because he doesn't have anything.
yes.
Sorry.
So no, I really I'm enjoying the conversation. So that's why it's really important for you to build with your man so that he will treat you like a queen.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
then for the women too, if you are a man and then you want your wife to prosper, you will see it. If she is ambitious, then you should be able to push her to the top. We have seen a lot of great women who have had supportive husbands, and then they've been able to conquer their own worlds. I've seen a family that a woman goes for a presentation and the husband is outside with the baby, playing with the baby and all, giving her the necessary support that she needs.
Exactly.
So a relationship is supposed to be enjoyable. It is not a competition.
No.
Yes. So just like love is supposed to be simple, but man insists on making it complex.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe bring in our own selfish desires and needs and then make it complex.
Yes, exactly. So I've been able to beat around the bush with my little knowledge of, but at least I think I can speak with authority because I can count the number of times that we have had disagreements. Is that a word?
Yeah, but you see, the problem is that a good marriage does not mean you do not have disagreements. The good marriage is one in which you disagree, but you know how to agree, finally, how to resolve your conflict. Because those are the things we talked about during our own relationship. How were we going to be resolving our conflict, and we'll put things, in on ground. And then when we got married, we were using those same principles to say, okay, we have a disagreement. This is what we said of how we want to resolve it. And we'll try to go about it that way and get it resolved. So what makes a good marriage is not the absence of conflict. No, it's knowing how to resolve the conflict and move on. So that is it.
And resolving peacefully. And
Yes.
let me add one more thing. There is
Okay.
something that is going on now that I feel the couple should be wary of. They call it this marriage counseling in churches. You
Okay.
understand? The marriage counseling in churches are actually the experiences of those people that have set up those committees. So I want them to have an open mind when they are indulging in the marriage counseling, because some of them are just the experiences of those that are dishing out advice, you know, because I was very surprised at one of our classes, because we used to go for the marriage counseling, when the one of the pastors was categorically telling my wife to be then that she is underneath the man, that anything that he says is law, you
Yeah.
know,
She should
and I wasn't
submit.
too comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do not want to be I'm not a king of Kuvuki land that I want subjects under me. No, I want us to be able to sit down and discuss. Bring your points and I bring my points. If your points are heavier than mine, I will leave mine and will tow your own path. So, but you
Exactly.
see,
That is what I keep saying for people that talk of this submission, submission, submission. Look, submission is just like saying have the chief executive that is there, but you talk with your board members and they will bring
yes,
suggestions and everything. Then you will look at it and see which one is better. The only thing that is making you the boss there is that you're going to take the final decision after you look at both and see which one is better to follow or not to follow. That is just it. There's nothing like putting somebody under. Oh, the wife is under. You don't have a say. You just obey everything. So as you rightly say, it is their own perception or mindset about marriage that they bring to bear when they are doing this counseling.
yes, yes. And most times, some of those perceptions are not totally correct.
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say in essence, in a nutshell, is you have to bring out your own model, a model that works for you. And the
Exactly.
model is something that is built on mutual respect and trust.
Exactly.
And then you treat the person how you want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
I playfully go into the kitchen to pound yam all the time, and it has never removed any hair from my head.
Exactly.
I take hot water to the bathroom for my wife, and it has never removed a strand.
Mm-hmm.
If I had the time, I'll always make the room if there is no one to repair. So it doesn't, it just takes understanding. And when you
Exactly.
act like you are in it together and you are not in competition,
Mm-hmm.
it goes a long way to give you the kind of marriage that you want. These are my
Exactly.
thoughts.
Okay. So it has been so nice having you here to discuss about this. And that is, I hope all of you are taking down notes. I have notes. I've been taking down some notes and points. So from what we've discussed today, talking about divorce is on the rise because most people are not prepared for it. And you can see what Gaza talked about. Most people will go to school, we prepare, study how many years, even to be doctor, lawyers, and all that, but hardly do we take time to prepare ourselves for marriage. We just jump into it and think that is going to work out. It doesn't work that way. And that is why here at Courtship Academy, just as he said, we try to prepare you to let you see the things that you should be discussing. We have a workbook that we give you to use, things that you can discuss together so that you know your values, you know your principles, you know your expectations each other, then that way you're able to form something, like come up with your own model. I like that. come up with your own model of how you want. That is what we did. We came up with our own model of what we wanted our marriage to be between me and my husband. We were not impressed by what other people were doing. Just as he said, when you go for counseling in your churches and all that, the man saying, oh, the wife is beneath you and all that. That's his own model of marriage. So you have to decide your own. Do you want your model to be like his, or you want something better for yourself? Then it's all in your hand, and that is what we prepare you here at Courtship Academy to do, to be able to know yourselves better and then form your own model, that's something that will work for you, something that you will love. So we are really very happy with Shokogaza. Nice having you here and giving us these tips, sharing from your own experiences. And I believe that if we take this to heart, we'll be able to do something good with forming the kind of relationship that we want and we desire. So before we go, I believe some people will want to know how they can connect with you. Like those that want to reach out to you, can you give some information? How do they reach you? Your phone number or Facebook, or how can they connect with you?
Well, you can reach me on Facebook. My Facebook name is G-Code Mark Auta. I'm also on Twitter at Gaza Auta. I'm equally on YouTube as G-Code Mark Auta. I'm on Instagram at G-Code at Gaza Auta. And then my email address is outagaza@gmail.com. My WhatsApp and phone number is 0703 0680 734. Thank you so much for the opportunity, man. It's a rare privilege.
You're welcome so much. Thank you for being with us.